Welcome back. So in this tutorial we'll continue from the next two of Pixellab. We have treated the text 2, so we are going over to shape, objects and image 2. Everything that has to do with shapes, objects, pictures, that's where you are going to get them. Any editing you are doing that involves shapes, images, and this is the 2 here. So let's just remove the text since we are not going to do anything with it for now. So let's just delete it so that it will be out of the workspace. So once you click these two, these are the options you'll be seeing here. The first one here is stickers. You can see many stickers you can use for your designing. There are a lot of them. Then we have emojis. There are many emojis that you can use. So it depends on the purpose of your designing. You can find them useful. Okay. So the next thing here is importation. Okay, let's just delete this. Import. So from the name you can use it to import picture from your gallery, to import anything, any image from your gallery. So once you tap import, it will take you to your gallery where you can be able to import anything you want. For instance, let's import this. So basically this is just a importation. Use it to import images, picture, anything, whatever from your gallery into your workspace. Once you tap any object, any image you imported, you see more options that will pop out. The first option here is reselect. So this reselect will just enable you to select, that is to import new photo. For instance, if you go to reselect, it will take you back to your gallery. You might be able to, so I can maybe replace the old one with this new one. You can see. But let's just use the other one. Then the next one, delete. Just like the name is, you can use it to delete anything. Then crop. You can use it to crop your image. For instance, if you go to crop, you can use it to crop off many things. Maybe you want to crop from here to here. So in this crop, you have many cropping options. It's either you crop manually to the extent you want, or you can actually use the options provided. You can use 1:1. You can see. You can now move it to anywhere you want. You can use this depending on how you want the cropping to be. You can use this. There are many of them you can use. Then whenever you want it to fit in to the image, you want the cropping to just be to retain the original, you tap here. Once you tap it will extend and occupy the whole image the way it was before. So here you have this option, rotate. You can use it to rotate. Then we have this option. This one will just add more handles that you can use to extend your image. You can see this ends, this place. It will just give you more handles. It will give you more points that you can use to adjust your photo. Then this circle here, we just crop your image in a circular form. You can see. You can see the effect of selecting this. Once you unlock it, that means you're unlocking more points. You now have more points that you can use to drag your crop shapes. For instance, let's just go with this for now. Then we have this thing, flip left and right and flip up and down. So you can see to just flip your image left or right, then up, down. So let's just remove the circle. Let's assume we are using normal cropping, meaning manual cropping. After cropping, you just accept that is done. Okay, this mark here. There are more options here. Copy, just to copy images. Send back or front, we have treated this. You use it to send your image objects, so if, including text, we have treated it when we treated text. I used to send it back or front. Then position, you can use it to position by tapping the directions you want it to move. This is just like movement. You can use it to move anything, which you can still do with your hand by just dragging. As we have discussed before, this one will just give you precision. Maybe you just want it to fit in, you use the dragging. You use the option of position to move it to a point you want. You can increase the movement. You can see if you reduce it, we have treated this. Okay, let's just delete. Then we have the relative position, which we have treated. So it will relatively position any object or image in reference with vertical or horizontal axis, and also the former position. So that's why it's called relative position. For instance, if I want this thing to be at the center here, that means I have to combine the vertical axis and the horizontal axis so that this image will come and stay at the point of intersection. You understand, where they intersect. So the point where they intersect, it will come and stay there, so that this image will not be at the middle. So let's take, for instance, I want it to be at the middle. I have to select this one, then the horizontal. It will now come to the point of intersection. If I want it to go up, I will just tap the arrow up. If I want it to come down, I'll type this one down. If I want it to go by the side, I'll use this one. As simple as that. Then we have color. We are going to treat this one where we talk about solid shapes. Texture, we are also going to treat this one when we talk about solid shapes. Then opacity, you can use it to decrease or increase the opacity. You can see, you can use it for many purposes. Then affect shadow. That's if there is shadow. For instance, let's add shadow, though we have treated this before. You can see the shadow. So if you now go to opacity, once you leave this after shadow, if you enable it, that means if you are decreasing the opacity, the shadow will also decrease. But once you don't enable it, any adjustment you are making, it will not affect the shadow. So if you enable it, that means any adjustment you are making will also affect the shadow. Okay, so let's just remove the shadow and continue. Then we have color filter. In this color filter, you can use it to change the color of the image. You can use it to change the color of this photo. For instance, if you go to color filter, you can use it to change the hue, that is to change it from one color to the other. You can see, you can use it to achieve many things in your design. Maybe you don't want the picture to have a real human skin, just for the purpose of what you are designing. You can always change it from here. Then you can also adjust the saturation if you want, the brightness, the contrast. So basically it is used to edit photos. While designing, you can use it to adjust the skin tone and texture of any image in your design. Then we have the stroke. You can use it to add stroke to the image. You can see the stroke we just added. You can select any color of your choice for the stroke. once you enable it. You can increase the stroke width. Okay, so let's just disable it. Then we have the eraser. You can use it to erase anything you want. The eraser. So these are the options. So the ones we'll be needing the most is this. You can use it to increase the size of the pen. This one you can just use to feather the, to maybe to smoothen the border of the pen, so that when you're erasing it will not be too sharp. You can use this one to increase the handle, the length of the handle, the length of this handle here. You can use it to adjust it. You can see. Then this one is just like undo. Yeah. Then this one is zoom in. If you want to zoom anything, maybe you want to erase something, and then you need to zoom it before erasing to get a perfect something. Maybe something that is very close to the skin, you don't want it to affect the skin, or you don't want it to affect a particular point. You just have to zoom in so that you get what you want. Once you zoom in, you tap here, then you can do anything you want to do. When you are done, you tap it, you tap here, it will take you back. So let's just okay, always remember to remove so let's just erase this thing. So when you are done, you tap here, you can see. Then the next one is masking. Just like the name is, you can use it to mask any part of the image. Something like this. Once you enable it, you see. Move. Let's use movement. You can use this. This is the Bezier mode. With this Bezier mode, you can be able to adjust this masking. We are still going to treat the Bezier mode. So once you select this part of the Bezier mode, that means you can use it to adjust the whole stuff. If you tap this one, it will remove some points. If you tap this one, it will add more points. You have to click here before these action points will appear. You have to tap here before these action points will appear. So if you tap here, it will be adding points. You can notice the direction. See the direction it is moving. It will be adding points around. Then with this one is used for scaling. Then this one for rotation. That's this for rotation. So we are still going to treat that too. We have treated the in and out, which means that anything that is inside the mask, the masking shape, will be masked to be invisible. But if you click out, that means everything that is inside this shape, this masking shape, will be visible, while the ones outside will be masked. You can see. Let's just move it. Let's remember, this is the tool that you can use to move your mask, so that it will not be distorting your shape. So if you click this, you can be able to move it. So you can see there are many things you can achieve with it. You can just be creative with it while doing your own design. You can see. So let's just take this thing back. So the next option here is the erase color. So with this, you can use it to erase any color you want. So let's just tap it. If you enable it, normally once you enable it, it normally targets a white color. Just watch. You see, you can see the white colors are affected. Once you increase the tolerance, it will further remove the the any remaining portion of the white that it wants to remove. But remember, it's not the white that it wants to remove in this case. We want to try removing red color here. So let's just take this thing back to normal. Erase color, enable. So just ignore the fact that it is going to remove some part of the white. So just ignore it. What you are going to do is to just come here, this color picker, just select it, then drop it at any color you want to remove and press OK. You can see you can now increase the tolerance to further remove the traces of the color. You can see though it's not perfect, but basically this is how it works. Because the whole red color there doesn't have the same it's not homogeneous. Let me just put it that way. It's not homogeneous, so it will not remove it perfectly. You can use this one to adjust. Okay, you can further use this one to adjust things to get what you want. So let's just disable this. You have seen how it works. You can use it to remove any color in something. Then we have rotate. Rotate, you can use it just like this handle here. This point here, you can use it to rotate. So you can also use this one to rotate with precision. If you know the degree of your rotation, maybe you are asked to keep it 45 degree. You can see 45 degree. So with this, you can be able to rotate with precision. Then the 3D rotate, just to rotate the image in 3D. You can see this is how it works. Then we have the 3D. You know, as a human being is already a 3D image, so we are not going to use this. We are going to talk about this when we are dealing with solid shapes. Then we also have the perspective. Once you enable it, you can be able to add a perspective to any image or shape. You can add a perspective, so it will give it a perspective view. It is an artistic tool, so artists normally use this. Designers are also adopting it just to give a life and energy to your design. You can see the perspective is giving it. So that's how this one works. So let's just disable it. Then you have the shadow. You can use it to add shadow to the image. So let's enable. You can see the shadow. You can change the color of the shadow anytime. So now you can also adjust the radius here. You can see. Another thing you can do with this is the offset. You can offset it in the X axis or the Y axis, something like this, depending on where the light is falling from, something like this. If you notice, it's too dark. The shadow is not supposed to be very dark, depending, but in this case it's too dark. So you can further adjust it by going to this plus sign here. You will not take it down. You will not take this thing down as if to transparency, but not completely transparent. You see, this one is more realistic than the other one when it was like this. Now this one is more realistic. When you take the transparency down, you can see this one is more realistic. So let's just remove the color, the shadow. And we have the inner shadow. Also, this one will be best discussed when we are dealing with shapes, but this is what it looks like, which I don't think it will look very good on a human, but that's what it looks like. We are still going to look into it when we are dealing with solid shapes. Then we have the emboss. We are still going to treat this one when we are treating solid shapes. So once you select your shape or image, anything you imported from the gallery, these are the options you are going to see. So let's just tap the empty space. Then we have the draw. Just like the name is, you can use it to draw anything you want, anything whatsoever you want to draw. This is the pen size. You can reduce the pen size so it will look good depending on what you want to draw. You can increase it or reduce it. You can adjust the smoothness, but we don't need to adjust that. So now you can draw something like this. I know I'm not very good in drawing, but me looking at it, you know that I'm trying to draw a cup. Okay, so now there are other options here. I can decide to increase the pen size to something like this. You see, then another thing you should learn is this thing. You'll be able to learn how to uh, adjust the drawing to suit what you want to achieve. Maybe you want it to be a closed shape. For instance, now if you do something like this, so let's reduce the pen size. If you do something like this, to just be like this. If I want this thing to close, I'll just have to check this fill inside. It will add fill to anything I'm doing. Just take a look at this. Even without joining it, it will just add fill to the line. See, you can see. Then we have the dashed line. You know, once you're using dash line, you cannot close the shape, you cannot add fill. So if you notice, once you tap this one, it will uncheck this one. So the dash line is simply drawing using a dash line. You can use this thing for any purpose you want. You can just be creative with it. Then we have the neon effect. That is when you are drawing your line, you'll be seeing some effects, something like this. Just look at the edges, you see the neon effect there. If you are using color like blue, you will appreciate it better. Or red, maybe something like this, depending on when you are using it. Depending on when you are using it, it will give you that neon effect. So we have the reduce, which you can use to increase the radius of what you are drawing, something like this. So let's remove this neon effect. You can see, let's reduce the, so you can see the difference between when you are adjusting the radius. If you reduce it, so that's how it works. Then we have the eraser that you can use to erase anything. You can see, and increase the size of the eraser. Then we have the, we have shapes. Once you go to shapes, this will appear first. If you want to use it, then you can continue. But this, if you tap this box, you will see other shapes. So let's use this one for instance. This circle. Once it's out there, these are other options, the editing options. You can decrease the opacity, increase it to anywhere you want. You can add color. You can add single color. You can also use color gradients, where you can use your hand to get a color gradient, or choose from the existing ones here. We have discussed how to create gradients. You just need to tap any of the points. These are the 2 points, 1, 2. If you tap this one, then you go to this color icon here, and you adjust it to your choice. Same thing with this side. You can adjust it to anything you want, or change the color entirely. So you have something like this. You can further change this one. You can see. Then this ones here, these options here are for open end shapes. Like, okay, let's assume, okay, then okay, this one for stroke. If you want to add stroke to this, you can increase the width of the stroke. You can also adjust the opacity of the stroke, just like you do for normal color. You can add color, gradient to the stroke. Then the radius too, you can adjust the radius. So these options here, see where you can, okay, let's assume that we are using this shape now. You just have to use click this OK. So let's get another shape, maybe something like this. Now I want to show you something this stuff. Just look at the edges. Sorry. So once you add stroke, it works for stroke. Once you add stroke, you can be able to adjust how you want the ends of the image that you added the stroke to be. You can see that's how you want the stroke to appear. You can see these are the different forms. You can change the color. You can see the effects. Okay. Then once you tap any of the shape, it will also bring you back to all those options again which we have treated. So let's just go to the ones that, okay, here you can change the entire color. Once you enable it, it will remove the original color that it came with when you selected the shape. So once you go here, it will give you another color. So just like the other place, you can be able to select any color you want. You can also be able to choose any color gradients. You understand? But let's just work with the original color that we added there when we are trying to import the shapes. Okay. Then texture. So this particular feature will enable you to add texture. We have treated it in test. It will enable you to add textures to your shape, to your object. So let's go to texture. Then you go to your gallery to get anything you want to use as a texture. Let's go to gallery. Okay, let's go to downloads. Let's choose this one. So once you select anything from the gallery, it will always bring you to this place where you can be able to crop, flip, or rotate it. So let's just go, okay, that thing is a circular something. Okay, the option for circular shape is not here. So let's just go with something like this. Okay, you can see the texture is now the texture of this, so you can be creative with this. So these are options for this. Maintain ratio. Once you enable it, maintain the ratio. Then scale, you can use it to adjust. You can see what happens. So you can be creative with this. There are many things you can achieve with something like this. If you want to change the texture, you can always delete the image that you used as texture here. You can go and get another one. For instance, let's use something like this as texture. Okay, you can see. So that's how this texture works. So let's just delete it and move on. So that's how it works. You can use it to add anything. And the next one, opacity, just like the name is, to increase or decrease the opacity, make it transparent. After shadow, affect shadow, sorry, we have treated that. Then we have the color filter, which we have treated when we handle the photo. Stroke, we already have stroke here, so we added this stroke when we were importing the shapes. So this is just like the one we added initially. So you can still add extra one. If you tap this one, it's not going to affect the already existing stroke. It will just add it to just add it as an additional stroke, something like this. Enable, you can see to just add an additional stroke to it. If you notice, okay, if you notice, you see that it's looking blurry. This is because we we increase the, okay, just let's go to this thing so you understand. You can see for stroke we increase the blurriness, the blur radius, we increased it, so that's why it's appearing like that. So you see that the stroke is being affected by this selection here, so let's just take it back. Now you can see it's not looking sharper, it's not looking sharper. You can always change the color anytime you want. Okay, then we have the eraser, which you can use to erase anything which we have treated. You can use it to erase anything, but we are not erasing anything here. You can see. So let's just go back. Then we have the mask, which we have treated also. You can use it to mask anything. So let's just do something with this. Let's just make it fun. So let's send this one to front. Then let's adjust the size by holding here and dragging. So let's create something interesting here. Now go to mask, enable. So you hold these points, bring it down. You hold these points, then so you can see how you can use this Bezier tool in masking to create a very wonderful effect. Just look at what we are creating here. Okay, you see, you'll be seeing this thing in designs. This is how it is done. It is called clipping. When clipping of a image, so you are clipping this into the shape. You can see how we achieve this using a masking. We achieve this using masking. So these are some of the things you can do with masking. You see. Then erase color, we have done this one. Maybe you want to remove the color of that shape, that inner color. So if you go to erase color, enable, then you pick the color, you go and pick the color. We want to remove this color. Okay, you can see, as I told you before, once you didn't remove everything completely, it means that the color you pick is not homogeneous. Remember, that's a gradient color. We use color gradients there, and color gradients, they are not homogeneous because they are a mixture of more than one colors. So that's why it's appearing like this. So you can further work on it by increasing the tolerance. You can see. So if you increase the color, if you further remove any remnants there, you can see. So let's just bring it back to normal. So the next thing, okay, we have treated all this thing here. So let's just set this thing aside. Well, we achieve what we want to achieve with that. Then the next thing here is okay, rotates. Normally you can use it to rotate. 3D rotates, just like we have treated already. Then we have the 3D shape. Let's reduce this thing. So once you tap the 3D shape, see what happens. Let's increase the depth. You can see the perspective. Let's just reduce the depth. You can see I'm just trying to rotate it so that you can see what is happening. So the 3D has perspective and oblique. If you use the oblique, that is the types of view. If you use the oblique, it will be like this. Perspective, it will be like this. You can increase the depth or increase or decrease depending on what you want to achieve with it. You can also adjust the color of the 3D perspective is given. If you go to color, now once it's giving you this type of scattered 3D, you just go to this simulate lightning and disable it. You understand? So that you'll be working with a normal 3D shape. So you can always adjust all these stuffs. So let's just keep the depth like this. Then further options here are, okay, we have talked about the color. Then we have the extrude stroke. You see what's happened? You know, I added stroke to this. So this extrude stroke, if you enable it, that means the stroke you added will also affect the 3D. So that's why it's looking scattered like that then. So what we were actually seeing then was just the stroke. That's why it was white even when we are changing the color. Now if you change this color, you see the effect. You can see. So this is just like the original stroke that it came with. You understand? Okay, let me rotate this thing again so that we understand some things. If you look very well, you notice that the original stroke is the innermost one. You understand? So that's the one that is serving like part of the circle. But this last stroke we added with the stroke option is serving as the new stroke, while the inner one is serving as part of the circle, because we added it when we added it in the beginning of the time we are trying to create a shape. You understand? So it's now serving as part of the shape. So any other stroke you are adding is just an additional stroke. You understand? So once you enable this extrude, the 3D effect will affect it as well, something like this. So that white stroke will be affected. It will be covering the other stroke, so you cannot see much effect of what we are doing. So you just have to disable it. Then there are other options. Okay, let's just use something like this. There are other options here which you can use it to darken the color or something. Then rotation. You can use this thing for numerous things. You just have to be creative with it. You can use it to design maybe a table, center table. There are many things, or even a band. There are many things. You can see how it is looking. It's giving you that 3D. You can also adjust the light angle. See? Also the intensity. Then shadow. You can see this wonderful wooden texture is giving it. And you can adjust this one. So this is very nice. You can see the 3D. See the shadow is giving it at the edge. Just take a look at. So that's how that's all about the 3D. That's how it works. Then we have the perspective. Okay, let's just remove this 3D. Then let's keep this thing like this. This one too. Yeah, everything is not normal. Then the perspective. Once you enable it, you can use it to create perspective. You can see there are many things you can use it to create. So when we start practicing design, when we start practicing, we are going to be using all these things in some of the tasks that we will be doing. So let's just disable and continue what you are doing. Then shadow, easy to add shadow. We have discussed this. You can always offset the shadow. You can also adjust the opacity by tapping here. Offset. Okay. Then we have the inner shadow. Once you enable, you see the inner shadow. You can see it. You can see the inner shadow. You can also offset it. You can see the effect is giving it. You can also change the color of this inner shadow. You can use white. You can use red. You can use whatever you want to use. You just have to be creative with it. So all these things will be giving you some effects that you can use the way you want. Then we have the emboss. Okay, let's just remove these shadows. Okay, we have the emboss. Enable. To be adding some 3D effects to your objects, to your shape and everything while using it for design. At times when you're using this emboss or 3D, once you increase the size above normal, it will distort the image. So it's only by reducing the size at times that you can use to avoid this, just to keep it the normal size. You can now save it later and import it again, so that it will not affect so any 3D you added there will not affect it. So that's all for this. We are still going to see how this thing works when we start design task. Okay, now the next tool here is the Bezier tool. So the Bezier tool is a very wonderful tool. You can also refer it as a shape builder. You can use it to build shape. Bezier tool, you can see. So once you open this, you see options, Bezier mode. You can see the different modes. You can see this. So this one is for points. Once you tap it, you see the actions you can take with it. This one to see the actions. You understand? So these are the Bezier modes and the actions you can take. So this one now has to do with this. Once you tap anywhere, so once it's in this mode, anywhere you tap, it will create points and join the line to the last point. You understand? Then if you want to remove any points, you just use this one, this action here. Remember, you use this to add points by tapping the workspace. It will be adding. Then you use this action here to remove the points. Then you use this one to join points. For instance, let me just create points. So if I want to join this place, if I want to join here to here, I will just I'll just click this. You can see the linkage. You can see that linkage sign. Just tap here, it will join. You see, if you tap there, it will join. If you tap again, it will unlink. You can see the sign where something is unlinked, no longer connected. Tap it, it will unlink. So we have this one. You can use this action to add more points. You understand? When you are tapping here, you are just adding points outside the already existing line. But when you use this one, when you use the other one, let's get to that one. Okay, let's remove this first. Okay, when you use this one normally works when you have joined the points, that is when they are now closed. That's where this particular option will appear. If you notice, okay, let's just unlink it. You see, you can see that option. So that option only works when the points are joined together. So when it's now a closed something, you understand, any points you are adding will now be within the line going from a particular axis. But when it is still open like this, you can only add points outside the existing line by tapping anywhere it will be adding. If you now join it together, this option will come out. This option will enable you to add points within the already existing lines, just like this. You can see the direction. So this one we use it to move anything, to move this Bezier shape, this shape we created. Now we can use it to move them. So now we can unlink this again. Unlink. So if we want to adjust any of these points, this serves as the handle. This particular one, you can use it to bring up the handle so I can be able to adjust things. You just have to hold any of the handle and shape it and use it to create any shape you want. For instance, now I can use this to add more. Sorry, I can use it to create this, to recreate this circular shape. So with the help of these handles, you can be able to adjust the shape to fit into a particular something you want it to look like. You just have it will take time. You just have to carefully align them by using the handles here. So we have this. Okay, we have treated this one. This one is used to remove points, while this one is used to link points. This one, you can use this one to unlink points. So once you link points, this option will come out. This one enable you to add points within the line. You can see, you can be able to add points. Then this one is for scale. You can use it to scale your shape. You can use this one to rotate. So once you have joined the points, it's now a closed shape. You can be able to add color inside, that is fill. You can be able to fill with color. You do this by increasing the opacity. Once you have joined the points, it's now closed, so automatically it now has a fill. So you can simply increase the opacity. It will always be white. Then you can now change the color to anything you want. Color gradient, you can decide to change it to a color gradient. You can also add stroke. You can reduce or increase the opacity of the stroke. You can also add color to the stroke. You see, so this is like a shape builder tool. This Bezier tool is like a shape builder tool. So when you are done with this, you can just click OK. You can see, so this thing can be used to, these particular shapes are just normal solid regular shapes, but this one are irregular shape that you can just create on your own. So this thing can mimic stone. I can use it in my designing to serve as a stone or anything. So it can be used, this Bezier mode can be used to create irregular shapes. You understand? And once this thing is formed with a Bezier mode, if you go here, you also see this shape, this icon for Bezier 2. edit. You can use it to edit this anytime. If you go there, it will take you back. So let's talk about this. This plus sign can help you to add more busier shapes, or maybe busier points, new ones. So I can use it to create a new shape. It will enable you to add new ones. You can also copy a particular line or curves, then use minus to remove any duplicates, or to remove it entirely. So this one here means that it's the only one. Remember, you don't touch anything you created with the Bezier tool. Anyhow, you don't touch it unless you put it in this mode, that is in this movement mode, where you can be able to move it. Otherwise, if you place it here, anywhere you touch, it will be distorting, it will be reshaping and distorting. You can see. So that's how this works. So we can still use this thing to build a very wonderful shape. You can use it to build shape of our choice, to replicate. Maybe you want to design logo, you can sketch it. After sketching, okay, for instance, let's delete this. Let's import something. This thing. Okay, let's take, for instance, okay, let's lock this. We are still going to discuss how to lock an image. So if I want to recreate something like this, though we are not going to go into details, it's something that we will now practice later. I'll just go to my I will select it, sorry, then I'll go to the Bezier mode. So I don't need to select it. I'll just go to Bezier tool. So once you place this here, you can see it will be adding more points. You understand? It will be adding more points on link. So what you are going to do is just to move it, or just select this, then you just have to move it. You go to this point, drag it like this. Then you can create more points for yourself by tapping this mode. You tap here, then here, here. It's not going to be perfect, so let's just join. So we have linked them. Then we'll go to this handle, then start shaping it. If you think that you need any points anywhere to have a smooth shape, you can always tap here. Once you have joined it, you can now tap here to add more points. You can see it, so it will enable you to shape it better. Then here, so this is what you can use this thing for. So you are not going to be well detailed in this, but this is the basics of how you can use this Bezier tool to create a shape. You can use it to create any shape you want. So you just have to be careful with it and well detailed. It will take you time, but at the end of the day, it will work. You can just add points here so that it can be able to do this one like this. Then you can add more points. So adding more points will make your shape smoother, because you won't be having some straight lines. You need realistic shapes, curves, that it will not be straightening. So basically, this is how it is done. So when you are not careful, when you are not doing your own, you can just take your time and trace it, just be placing it where it's supposed to be. So we are still going to treat it in exercise, in our task. So that's how it works. So you can always add a fill color. Maybe you want to add fill to this. I will just increase the opacity, then select a color. You can see, so this is just a rough tracing. You can select any color. You can select color gradient. You can add stroke. All this. So this is a rough one, just to demonstrate something. So let's remove. Then we have arrow. This arrow, just like the name is, we have many arrow. You have the many arrowheads here. You can increase the size. You can add anything. You can add the ends, how you want the arrow to end, the end arrow, also the end arrow and the beginning of the arrow, like how you want it to be. You can also increase the size of the beginning arrow size. You see, you can select what you want as the beginning arrow. Same with the end one. You can select any shape you want. You can also reduce the opacity, leaving this thing, the outline. You can also adjust the color. Then the width, you can also adjust the width, the opacity of the width. You can reduce or increase. You can add color and stroke. So you can just, all this arrow is just for your own personal purpose. Maybe I sign something and you need it, so let's just delete it. So that's all with shapes, with shape 2. So this 2 is all about shape images, and we are done with it. So the next one will be the background.